7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello dear students, we are going to discuss another new lesson for this week. This is all about evaluating spoken text, our Module 5 lesson for week 5. We will also be discussing more of the spoken text and written text. To begin with, let us first study the similarities and differences. Written text and spoken text are both rule-governed, consist of symbols, and they both convey meanings. Their differences are: written text is formal while spoken text is informal. Written text is asynchronous while spoken text is synchronous. Written text can be recorded while spoken text is unrecorded. Written text is usually permanent and cannot be usually changed once they have been printed and written out. It can also be communicated across time and space for as long as the particular language and writing system is still understood. While speech is usually transient unless recorded, and speakers can correct themselves and change their utterances as they go along. Speech is also usually used for immediate interactions. Written communication is precise because words are chosen by the writer with great care. Oral communication, on the other hand, involves carefully chosen words along with nonverbal gestures and movements. Let us more study the differences between the oral and written varieties of the language. Oral or spoken text variety. The spoken language is maintained in the form of a dialogue. The spoken language has considerable advantage over the written language as the human voice comes into play. This is also a powerful means of modulating the utterance as all kinds of gestures together with the intonation give additional information. While written text variety, the written variety is maintained in the form of a monologue. The written language has to seek means to compensate for what it lacks. Therefore, the written utterance will inevitably be more explanatory. The aspect of written and spoken language. Written is planned and spoken is unplanned. Written is organized while spoken language is less structured. Written text is both transactional while spoken language is interactive. The input of spoken, of course, is listening and its output is speaking. So as we listen, we are also speaking. In written, the input is reading while the output is writing. Now, before learning to evaluate spoken text, let us first answer these questions because they are very important. First, is the language suited for the occasion? Is the content relevant? Is the content valid and accurate? And is the source reliable? So here, in evaluating spoken text, it is really important that for sure the language is suited for the occasion. And we also talk about the relevancy, the validity, the accuracy, and the reliability of the information. This lesson will teach you to evaluate a kind of spoken text using a set of criteria to be able to help and to prepare you in producing spoken text, especially in formal situations. As said earlier, for you to improve your skill in this field, you may watch news reports in television to observe news reporters conducting interviews and sources answering questions and sharing information. This is a form of journalistic interview. A journalism interview takes the form of a conversation between two or more people. Interviewers ask questions to elicit facts or statements from interviewees. It is very important to take note. Evaluating spoken text is important to make a good choice of what can be helpful and useful. In news reports on television, you may observe that both the newscaster, the interviewer, and the source, the interviewee, produce spoken text. When they produce spoken text, they communicate their messages. Communication can be understood by considering two aspects, such as the verbal and the non-verbal aspects. What is verbal aspect? This is what makes use of words and may be oral or written. When we say non-verbal, this is the aspect that does not make use of words. Study the table below that shows the differences between non-verbal and verbal communication. The aspects are the traits of the speaker. For the non-verbal communication, we have maintains good eye contact and posture, uses body motions and gestures effectively, comfortable and confident, shows engaging and inviting presence. This is also what we call using the body language, the facial expressions, and gestures when it comes to nonverbal communication. When verbal communication, a speaker should have a clear voice, confident, steady, and strong. He must use inflections to create interest or to emphasize key points. And of course, talking pace is consistently appropriate. Keep in mind that news reporters conduct two kinds of interviews, news interview or profile. The Columbia University points that the purpose of news interview is to gather information to explain an event, idea, or situation in the news, while the focus of profile is on the individual. The university also enumerated in its article, Interviewing Principles, the following characteristics of reporters for effective interviews. First, they prepare carefully. Next, before beginning the interview, they direct questions in obtaining information on a theme that is in their minds. Should there be more important theme emerges, they develop it. They also ask questions that encourage the interviewee or the source to talk freely. Their gestures and facial expressions encourage the interviewee or the source to keep on talking. These are the qualities of a good interviewee. First, observant, non-defensive, well-prepared, calm and assertive, polite and punctual, reasonably confident, concise with giving answers, well presented in terms of dress, unhurried but not too laid back, good at listening of what is being said, and lastly, enthusiastic and may be positive about what is being discussed. Now it's activity time. For activity 1, you are going to watch and listen. Watch and listen to a news report on the television that includes an interview of a newscaster to a specific individual about a theme or topic that is related to COVID-19 pandemic in the Philippines. After doing that, you are going to evaluate. After watching and listening to the news report and noting the non-verbal and verbal aspects that are employed by the speakers, It is time for you to evaluate one of the speakers. Evaluate the source or the interviewee in the news report in terms of nonverbal and verbal skills that he or she has displayed during the interview. Use the criteria below and write your scores on a separate sheet of paper. For the trait of nonverbal skills, you have to focus on the eye contact, body language, and poise. The highest score is 4, and the lowest score is 1. For the verbal skills, you have to check on the enthusiasm and elocution. Same thing, the highest point is 4, and the lowest point is 1. Remember that the speaker to be evaluated is the interviewee or the source. Make sure that you are going to submit your work in our Google Classroom. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.